Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tamika. This is Library of Tomes, where I talk to you about all the bookish things going on in my life. And today I have a very fun video because I am going to be going over my favorite manga that I've read so far in 2021. I wanted to do this at the beginning of July because I wanted to get as much time in to read manga as I could. This list has not changed as much as I thought it would have by giving myself the extra month to do this. So the way I have this broken down is in two categories. The first category is manga that is either not complete or manga that I have only read 1 or 2 volumes of that I want to continue on with, that I really loved the first volume. And the other category that I have is manga that is either complete, caught up, I've read all of it, I have read enough of it that I've formed a very good opinion about it, so I've read 4 to 5 volumes of it, or I've read everything that's out from it. That's kind of the way that I broke these two down. I'm gonna quickly jump into the mangas that I've only read 1 volume from because I can say the least about those, and then we'll get into the other ones. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I couldn't do this without first mentioning Blue Flag, which I read 1 volume of in March and fell in love with this series when we were doing the 30 and 30, or this might have been in April. I don't remember what month we did the 30 and 30, but I read 1 volume of Blue Flag. I fell in love with it, and so much so that I've bought every single volume there is, and I'm going to be marathoning it very soon. So Blue Flag is a love quadrangle kind of situation. It's a coming of age story centering around 4 different characters, and there are so many fun relationships in here where there's a girl who really has a crush on this really popular guy. The popular guy was best friends with this like nerdy boy. I'm forgetting all of their names obviously, and the nerdy boy maybe has a crush on the cute girl who has a crush on the cute guy, but the cute guy has a crush on the cute boy, and it's just, there's a lot of relationships, there's a lot of situations that are possibly happening, and it's just, I'm so excited to continue this series. It was so adorable and so cute, and I was just like audibly gasping of like, and being like, oh, this is adorable, and like just, it was so stinking cute, and I am so excited to continue it. I was so invested. I was planning on continuing it when we were doing the 30 and 30, but I had things going on and I wasn't able to read more manga, and it was just a lot that month. So I just really loved what I did read. It was so much fun, and I cannot wait to continue the series. So also I need to talk about Beauty Bunny, which is following a girl who moves to Tokyo, and her mom is very obsessed with beauty, and she moves to a school where they're very obsessed with beauty, and she's just like an average girl. And the guy who's like the most popular at school, who like makes girls his like bunnies, he only does makeovers on girls who are his bunnies, and he gives her a makeover. And it is so cute. The tension between the two of them is absolutely adorable. I cannot wait to continue the series. This is in KU, and it's an adorable start to a romance, and I cannot wait to see how it develops and what the two characters end up doing, because it is just going to be the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I am so excited to continue it. Like, I don't know why I haven't continued it since I started it back in, I want to say March or maybe April. I don't remember when I started this, but I think part of it is because I keep forgetting to charge my iPad. Get on my case about it, guys. If you don't see me charging my iPad, get on my case because I need to get on it. But I really freaking loved this series, and I cannot wait to keep reading it. And then if you have been on my channel for any amount of time, then you will know that those Not So Sweet Boys stole my heart, and I freaking love those Not So Sweet Boys. I have since gotten 2 more volumes of those Not So Sweet Boys that I have not sat down and actually read through yet, but I do have intentions of doing that in the next week or so. But I love those Not So Sweet Boys. I absolutely adore the series. This follows Midori, who is her family's in a lot of debt because of her dad, and she has to work a job, but she gets a new scholarship at this like really good school, and she's not allowed to work a job, so she can't help pay the bills. So she ends up working a job anyway, and the like headmaster of the school catches her, and she's like, no, that's not how this works. And he says, but here, listen, if you get these boys back in school, then I will let it slide and I won't expel you. So it's the story of her trying to get those boys back in school, and it was so good. It was such a fun story. It was so much fun. It was a sweet, I'm gonna say it was a romancy type series because I definitely think that it's going to develop in the sense of a romance, and I think that it's gonna end up being like a reverse harem and she might have a relationship with all of the boys, which is what I'm hoping for. I want that. Badly want that. I need them to all get together. That sounds like the ideal situation for me. So I'm very excited to see how it develops. I don't know how many volumes there are. I think there's at least 6 that are published in Japan right now, but I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely delightful and you have to check it out. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about some of the mangas that I have read that have more than one volume that I've read from, and some of these are complete series. Let's go ahead and get the obvious one out of the way. So who wants to guess the next 2 I'm gonna talk about? Any guesses? Pause the video, leave it in the comments. Any guesses for the next manga that's gonna come out of my mouth? Did you guess Tokyo Ghoul? Because if you didn't guess Tokyo Ghoul, I'm questioning if you watch my channel. Honestly though, Tokyo Ghoul is absolutely my favorite manga of the year. It is one of my favorite things I have read all year, point blank period. It follows Ken Kaneki, who is a college student. He ends up going to this cafe. He gets a date with this girl named Riza who works there. She is adorable. I love her. And he is like super flustered. He ends up going on the date and guess what? She attacks him. She's a ghoul. A ghoul is like a zombie. And she ends up, they end up getting in an accident and the doctor transplants her organs into Ken Kaneki, and the entire 14 volumes of Tokyo Ghoul centers around Ken Kaneki trying to figure out how to live his life and figure out how to coexist in this world where he's not only half human, but he's also half a ghoul. And it is so fun and so entertaining, and there are so many highs and lows in this series. Well, I'll take that back. There's not as many lows as there are highs. Like this series, it's high. It's high up there. I will not say there's a ton of lows. There is one volume that I just was bored in, but that one is because I didn't care about like the government situation of the ghouls. Just did not care about that part. I was just like, man, I don't care. But like overall, this series, it's so good. It is absolutely so fun, so much fun. It is a horror, but it's not super gory. I mean, there's some like situations, there's a few spots where it's a little gory, but I mean, it's about eating people. So, I mean, you kind of like, it's kind of like in there, but it's so much fun. It is not that scary though. Like that's what I will say. It is horror for the people who don't like to be scared. So horror for babies, if you will. I loved it. Please read Tokyo Ghoul. All right, so the next one I want to talk about is very obvious. If you know me at all, we celebrated one of my favorite characters' birthdays back in February, and I do my pigtails quite often. That would have to be Death Note. And if you didn't know, hi, my name's Tamika. I'm in love with Misa Amane. She is the ultimate big titty goth girlfriend, and I will take no other answers about it. Light Yagami did not deserve a goth girlfriend. And he didn't deserve his goth boyfriend Ryuk either. So, or L. He didn't deserve his boyfriend L either. So, that is going to sound really out of context if you've not actually watched or read Death Note. So, Death Note follows Light Yagami, who is a sociopath. He ends up getting a notebook called a Death Note that was dropped by a Shinigami. A Shinigami is a death god, and he writes the name of the person in that book. Within 40 seconds, that person will die. Light Yagami basically decides he wants to be the god of the new world, and we follow the entire series of Light basically manipulating everyone in his life, and then L, who is the investigator who's trying to solve the case, figure out who Kira, who is like Light's like death person name, like he's like, that's his god name or whatever, trying to figure out who Kira is. So it's so good too. This one has highs and lows, like real lows. So like we got real highs and then we got real lows. Volumes 5 and 6, there is a plot point, there's an arc where I'm just annoyed the entire time because I don't really care for that storyline, but then after volume 6 we go back on a high again. So I liked the ending in the manga much better. I really love the series. This is not one I would recommend to everyone just because this one is way more dense. Like there is way more words on this one than pictures compared to most manga. So if you're not really used to manga, this one might be a little harder to follow just because you won't really know, like, are you looking here? Are you looking here? Like, where are you looking? Like it might be a little harder just to follow the bubbles of where you need to actually go. It does take longer to read this series. So I will say that too, but I loved it. I love Death Note. I'm very happy I read the entire series. If you didn't watch my reading vlog where I read all 24 all 12 volumes in 24 hours. I'll link that up in the cards, but it was a great time. Let's talk about the one that's sweeping booktube, and that would be Fire in His Fingertips. This is a hentai series. There's only 2 volumes right now. There is a 3rd volume that hasn't been translated yet that I absolutely will be buying when I get it. I'm not going to tell you anything about this because there's no point, because there's literally nothing happening except sex. This is literally just smut. This is just manga but smut. Like, it's just hentai. That's all it is. This girl and her childhood best friend start banging. I mean, that's it. That's essentially what happens in this, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and try to sugarcoat it for anyone. She gets in a fire and he saves her and she has to come live with him. There's questionable consent in the beginning, but it's delightful. I loved it. And that's all I can tell you. I can't even show you a panel. It was good though. It was so good. We have another favorite that I'm absolutely addicted to, and that is Blood on the Tracks. This one is such a good psychological thriller. I would say psychological horror to an extent. This is like a horror thriller kind of situation, kind of like crosses along. It's like a half and half split situation. It is really good. It's really good. I'm not gonna lie. So this follows this kid, like literally a child, and this mom. And the mom has a very unhealthy relationship with the son. And she manipulates everyone, and I can't tell you anything else other than that. Like, I literally cannot tell you a single thing other than that. Because she has a very questionable relationship with her son, and that's all I can say. I will say there are trigger warnings in this for abuse. Parents abusing their children. I will say that, just straight up. There is a little bit of body horror in volume 4. Other than that, you're good to go. It's a good series. I loved it. I loved it a lot. I am ready to read volume 6. I just got it from, I just got it pre-order come in. So check out Blood on the Tracks if you haven't. It is so great, and I understand the hype on it. Would it be a favorite manga series from me if I didn't talk about Sweat and Soap? Because I mean, I am behind on Sweat and Soap. I am 2 volumes behind. I've read volumes 1 through 4, and I need to read 5 and 6. But this series is so cute. I love them. It's about a girl with a body odor problem and a guy who works at her company, and they work at like the soap company, and he gets inspired by the way she smells, and he is the soap scent designer, and they end up having a relationship. It's really cute. It's really fun. It explores all of like the great dynamics of just a relationship and living an adult, like having an adult relationship, and the like nuances that go behind it. There is going to be a literal entire manga just of the smut between these two, and I can't wait for it. Has no plot what to do whatsoever with what's going on in the series, but it's smut and I want it, so I cannot wait to buy it. It's going to be in my hands. I'm gonna read it as soon as it comes out. I cannot wait for it. But I love this series. I would say it's pretty pure. There's not a lot of smut. Like, I mean, yeah, there is some steam that happens on the page, but like you never see anything. Like nothing's ever like explicitly like on the page, if you know what I'm saying. So it's so good. I cannot tell you all how much I love this without just screaming about it infinitely. So please read Sweat and Soap. It's just so precious. It's so precious. Also want to talk about Pleasure and Corruption because this one took me by storm. This one I did not expect to love. I was kind of worried about this one because this one does follow like high school students, and it's about this kid who has a bad issue with taking pictures of girls underneath their skirts, and this girl gets his phone and she's like, not gonna do that. I'm gonna go show everyone. Instead of doing that, she ends up making him her submissive and forces him to be her submissive. He ends up enjoying being her submissive. She basically coerces him into like being his submissive, and she gets to be the dominant, and she gets to tie him up and do bondage activities and dom things with him, and it is a lot. These are not sealed, and there are things happening. You know exactly what's going on, but they never shows anything. And like, our heroine is very much like, it's like she is mean. Like I would call her more of like a sadist, a degrader. She's very much on like the mean side of like a dom. And like there's no caring part from her. It's just strictly the dynamic for her. She has no feelings for him. So it's intense. It's a lot. but it's so good and I really recommend you check it out if you've not read it yet. So those are my favorite manga that I've read so far in 2021. Let me know down in the comments your favorite manga of the year and what mangas I need to get to before the year ends, because I know that I need to get to a bunch and I have so many that I still have not even scratched the surface with. So leave me a music note emoji down in the comments if you're still here, and I will chat with y'all in my next video. Bye everyone.